Hello everyone, and welcome to the Apigee online meetup summer edition. My name is Kiki, and I'll be your host for today. We are broadcasting live from Google London headquarters, and we are all very happy to have you joining our conversation today. Backed by popular demand, today marks our 6th Apigee online meetup edition. And our goal is to make this as interactive and educational as possible. So on today's agenda, we have our session, a joint session with Google Cloud and Kiwi.com, talking about portals, partner ecosystems, and APIs. So we will start introducing our guests. Then we're going to have a conversation about Kiwi's journey with Apigee, Kiwis.com journey with Apigee. Then we go to a fireside chat. As always, we will have plenty of opportunity for you to participate. So please bear with us. So to ask questions, you can use either the link shown here or press on the Ask Questions button on your watch page. You can ask questions throughout the whole session. We will have a dedicated time to cover the questions, so please feel free to submit them at any time. So now I would like to welcome to the stage Uri, Product Manager on Kiwi.com, Duncan, Digital Engagement Lead from Google Cloud, and Rafa, Sales Engineer from Google Cloud. So without further ado, grab a drink, make yourself comfortable, and let's get started. Duncan, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks. So we have a very exciting story that we are going to discuss and are going to share with you. A few of the key things that we will be touching on are our partner ecosystems and the speed of execution, and why this is so important. I will just say at the start that I have got a stammer, so it isn't a problem. And with the Wi-Fi, please do bear with me, and I will eventually get there. So this is the age of API-driven businesses. So what do we think about in this space? Well, change is a constant, so being able to adapt and to innovate and to diversify faster than the competition is a critical part of an enterprise. Within Google, we have a concept of 10x thinking. So what do we mean by 10x thinking? It basically works in the way that we don't try to improve things and by 10%. We will always have a look to improve things and by 10x, so 10 times. When we start thinking about having an API ecosystem or being a player within an API ecosystem, it really does give us a huge opportunity to start to 10x what we do. There are a lot of the companies that I work with at the moment who are exploring different markets and ways that they're able to evolve in the future. And in fact, one of the things that often comes up and through the conversations that I have is that going forward and in the future, we won't just do this. And it's really, really important to start thinking about how is it you are going to evolve in the future. So a lot of people speak about having a data-driven business. So what do we mean by that, and do people actually genuinely do this? I think a lot of the stories that we are going to discuss and are going to share today really play out this story, and they emphasize the importance of not just being able to gather the data, but to start to derive insights from that data and allow that to influence the direction and the decisions that we are taking. This, I know, has really helped the company grow. and also accelerate speed to market. So enterprises need to create a developer experience to build an ecosystem for their APIs. I remember a while ago now when I worked on a help desk, and at the time I was told that actually you are the actual face of the company. If people speaking to you and have a good experience, great, but equally it is also true and in the reverse. It is exactly the same in of our developer portals. So you need developers to want to use your developer portal. They have got to love it. It should be supported and by excellent documentation, and it should have a sandbox as well. It should give people the chance to try APIs and before they actually go into production with them. We often have a concept of 5-5-5, so we often say it should take 5 seconds to find and understand and what an API does. It should take 5 minutes to actually test it, and it should take 5 days to go live with that API. So you've built some great API products, so what? So an ecosystem is ultimately dependent on its users and to thrive. And we are going to really focus on that now as I'm about to hand over. When we talk about thriving, we really want to identify what you did before, what you did afterwards, and what the impact of that is. It's not just about building these, people have to use it. So with that, I'm going to hand over now to Juraj.
Thank you. And just to introduce the KiwiCom to the audience, KiwiCom is a travel industry company that the main focus is to make travel better for everyone. Our goal is to connect any point A with any point B anywhere around the globe. So to help us build this kind of company, we are using something we called virtual interlining, and with this offering we are able to combine companies and itineraries of the companies that are not usually cooperating together. That's the niche product we introduce to the market, and this is how we are so successful. And with this, we are also offering KiwiCom Guarantee that is actually covering any problems you could have on your trip. So basically, if something happens due to delay or cancellation or something, basically we will handle the change flight or book a hotel or offer you full refund if something happens. So it all begins in 2011 when our CEO Oliver actually planned a trip to the Portuguese, and he looked for the flights there and he was furious because the flight was so expensive, and he basically came and booked 2 different flights for him that actually at the end was 3, almost 4 times cheaper than previous flights he found through the regular companies that usually handle the flights from Czech Republic to Portuguese. So this brings him the idea of virtual interlining, and since then KiwiCom is growing rapidly, and every 1 or 2 years basically since then we grow almost 2 times the size. And in 2016 we actually renamed company from Skypicker to KiwiCom, because at the time we already think about transportation from any point A to any point B. So to have Sky in the name was misleading, because we were thinking and we were starting of implementation of a ground transport as well. So it was counterproductive to have Sky in the name. And year after that, rename and rebranding to the KiwiCom, we were announced as a fastest growing company in Central Europe. And year after, actually, the Tequila, our B2B platform, was born. And when it comes to KiwiCom, in last year we were really successful, and we have over 1 billion euros in turnover, and the size of the company is so huge. We have over 2,600 of employees scattered all around the globe, even if it's Czech Republic, Slovakia, Spain, Portuguese, US, China, India, all around the world. So you can see we are a global company and focusing on a global travel, not only on local markets. So we are currently selling more than 35,000 seats every single day. And to help us handle this kind of infrastructure, we need to build our own systems and solutions for that. So we started with on-premise and with local clusters, and then eventually moved to the clouds. But just to put you in the context, we are connected to a lot of systems, like the GDSs that's handled. We are calling it legacy carriers. Then we have another carriers or the companies that are offering us their content to offer to or to bring us to the customers, and also third-party providers that are bringing the content for the partners and for the customers. And also to handle the payments and to handle the frauds and insurance and ancillaries, and also internal services like logging, alerts, analysis, and everything. We built a large amount of infrastructure. I'm talking about the huge clusters and everything, and it all begins at local homebrewed infrastructure or the servers that we used. And then Tequila comes, and it's actually something that helps our partners to connect to this infrastructure with single point of contact, and with ease they can register and start using or start building their own integrations with Kiwi easily with the help of Apigee. And with this, I will give to Rafa and to talk about GCP and other cloud solutions.
Thank you. So as Juraj mentioned already, there was a need basically to build a very scalable and actually rapidly scalable solution. Initial let's say version of deployment was the on-premises cluster. Initial technology was Docker Swarm, which is the container orchestration technology, container orchestration software. However, when it comes to tools to be used for that purpose, Kubernetes is definitely number one. It gives you the highest flexibility when it comes to configuration, scaling. There is a huge community of developers and people who are contributing in this project. And actually, Kubernetes is open source project, but it's fully based on Google own an internal container orchestration engine, which is called Borg. And by Borg, I'm not meaning the Star Trek celebrity, but the current deployment basically is based in two regions. One of those regions is in Belgium, another one is in Frankfurt, because of location of databases which are located outside of GCP. We are using also a couple of partners to interconnect those cloud and on-premise environments. And in front of that, there's an Apigee, which is responsible for authentication, for security, for integrating all of those APIs together, plus the CDN vendor who's basically delivering the content all around the world. And with that, I'm handing over to Juraj.
Thank you, Rafa. And just to put everything in the context, we built Tequila in last year and released it on November. And currently, after 7 months, we have over 1,000 registered companies and users, and they they're using almost 2,000 applications on top of our platform. So, and this platform is actually connected to via more than 20, it's actually 25 different proxies that are connected to any single infrastructure we are offering to our partners to use and leverage for their own systems. And Tequila evolution started in mid-summer last year, and we have a strict deadline, and in actually 10 weeks, with the huge help of Apigee, we are able to release it in November. So after 10 weeks, huge kudos to our developers, we were able to build and deliver to our partners way how to connect to our infrastructure and APIs to start building their own new Kiwi comms, basically. So they can access our booking, our search, and everything with help of Tequila, and on top of that is Apigee. So since then, as you may imagine, 10 weeks was really hard deadline, and we need to cut a lot of things or features from the initial release. We were improving Tequila hugely, and right now we have a lot of different tools and solution and proxies and everything inside Tequila that can our partners use, and right now they can do the search, and in the future we will be actually in a week or two be introducing new ticketing system on top of Tequila, and also in let's say this month we will be introducing a way how to search and book for the flights inside Tequila. So they don't have to do the whole infrastructure integration, just to register to the Tequila and start leveraging our API inside Tequila, so they can search and book the flights for their own customers easily there. So before Tequila, the whole process how to integrate our partners was really different. Currently we have like 2 or maybe 3 different type of partners. One is basically affiliates that are bringing their customers to us via deep links or banners or widgets or something. Or there's an online travel agency that needs to integrate our API. And the difference between that and there and now is basically for affiliates the whole cycle about the partners contacting the account managers contacting developers to set up everything for them and get back to the partner was roughly 2 to 3 weeks. Right now with Tequila you can basically start using it right away. You just need to register, fill up the information, set up your applications, and you're done. You have access to our deep link generator, you will have the link, and it's up to you when and where you put that link and start bringing us the customers. For OTAs, this cycle was more painful because there was a lot of testing, internal and external, for the partners to set up their infrastructure, to connect to our APIs, to check if every API is working correctly, if their responses are in the correct format and everything. Right now, it's basically the same way as for affiliates. They can start testing, as you mentioned, trying the APIs right after registration. They can have their own way on our playground to test the API and start implementing it. So for them, for a half-year process, we shrink it to 2, 4 to 6 weeks tops. So this is what actually the Apigee and the Tequila brings us and helps us to do for our partners, to streamline whole process, to help us bringing new partners easily for us and for you as well. And this brings me back to Kiki.
Thank you so much. Very interesting discussion. Thanks for the insights. But now let's take a moment and take some questions from the audience. And just a reminder, to ask questions, please either use the link shown here or press the Ask Question button on your watch page. So let's take a look at the questions. So the first question from Paul, I think is for you, Juraj. When you launched Tequila, did you know your initial partner base well and what they wanted? it must have been difficult to validate any new functionality in such a short time scale.
Yeah. In short term, yes. We know our partners really well because we are in the same business for 7 years, and the needs of our partners didn't change much in this time period. So we know what they need. We know the flow, how to do the search, and they know they need to do the bookings. And based on this, we cut down anything else from initial release, just to bring our partners way how to do bookings for our partners, to do the payment and everything around this. And then, since that, we are introducing other needs and everything else for our partners that is missing, or that was or is still missing in Tequila.
Great, thank you for that. One more question from Joanne. What's the developer experience of the portal like? Can I try the APIs before integrating with them?
Well, after registration, you need to create an application in Tequila based on cooperation you would like to do with Kiwi.com. Even if it's affiliate, you can create an affiliate type of application to leverage our deep link generator or widgets and everything. Or you want to do the bookings yourself and to implement our API. And based on this, you can create different type of applications, and each one gives you access to our playground to test the API right inside the Tequila. And actually, we built a way how to, let's say, auto-inject the API keys from the browser to test the API calls right away without need to any other tools.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Now we're getting to the fireside chat. So over to you, Duncan.
Thank you. Thank you. I think there was some extremely powerful points there, and it was good actually to watch it through. I spoke about 10x at the start.
Yeah.
I think that you've actually gone beyond that, so extremely good stuff. So take me back to 2011 and the vacation to Portugal then, because every good thing starts with a bit of pain.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not the problem. The situation then was that Oliver wanted to spend a vacation in Portuguese, and the idea, at the time, he was a student, and he wanted to do traveling there and actually want to look around. And he found flights with some big company that have overlay, I think it was in Frankfurt, to have a connection to the Portuguese from Prague, and it was really expensive for the student at the time. So basically, his idea was to find another way, and he found a different connection. I'm not sure which city it was, but basically it was some low-cost carrier to one place and then continue with the previous company, and actually it was almost 4 times cheaper than the initial price. And this brings him the idea to do the virtual interlining. And with the help of Josef, our CTO, they start building the first iteration of Kiwi. At the time it was called Skypicker.
Yeah. Wow. So it has gone from that in 2011 and to today, 2019, and you're selling 35,000 seats a day?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
There is a lot of searches, a lot of data is going through our systems.
Yeah,
definitely.
So thinking about product ownership then, what does a day in the life of a product owner of a partner proposition that leverages API, what does that look like? Well, it's day-to-day struggle between operational and strategic, because we need to think ahead, because we are cloud native company and we want to release everything fast. So we have a lot of plans to introduce new ways, new possibilities. And also we need to handle day-to-day operational tasks like a broken report or something is missing, there is a typo in somewhere or something like that. And you need to balance this every single day. And
have a time for yourself as well. So it's tough, but for me it was great opportunity to build something that helps our partners and the customers as well.
Yeah. So when you think about your stakeholders, what does and if I can speak, what does success look like for them?
Yeah, when I look to the stakeholders, we have internal and external stakeholders. So for one, it's definitely put it blindly, revenue. To be cost efficient and to be fast and to help our partners. Then we have our internal stakeholders, let's say it's our BizDev or account management department that are working with Tequila and with the partners every single day. So we need to help them to streamline all the processes, even if it's for the billing or the monthly reports or something like that, to handle things easily. So for them, the success is speed. Mm-hmm. For us, internally, success is stability. So it works and there is no delays or no outages and so on. So there is different way how to put success for different people.
Yeah. Thinking about your partner ecosystem, I spoke a bit at the start when I said actually to develop great API products is only the beginning. Mm-hmm. How have you gone about growing your partner ecosystem? Has that been completely organic? Has there been work you've had to put into that?
Yeah, no. Basically, how we started with Tequila was announced last November in Los Angeles. And it was in November, and since then it wasn't much done in marketing part of Tequila itself. It grows organically to almost 2,000 companies this month. And actually we are starting to do some online marketing just for Tequila to bring up to new partners. Because as you can imagine, after 7 years, we have a lot of partners that know about us and wasn't aware of Tequila or used a different way how to connect with us. It's not all new partners. There are some, but a lot of partners we have on Tequila right now is basically someone we had before just migrate to the Tequila. So right now we are thinking about bringing new partners with some marketing activities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And thinking about the scale and that you are actually working at now, mm-hmm. there must have been a few of the complexities and on the way, because I think you gave an example and in the before and after. When you scale as big as you are, what are the big complexities you have had to overcome?
Well, right now it's the amount of new partners. Mm-hmm. Because as I mentioned, we are expecting to grow much faster. And as you can imagine, for the number we have right now, it's like, it's 1,400 companies currently sitting on Tequila, and roughly on average it's 50 companies a week. So it's a huge overload for our account managers. So we need to build some automation around it, or some processes put in place for activating or for managing this amount of partners. So it's a lot of work from the accounting purposes or point of view, but for the infrastructure, well, I think we are set for millions thanks to Apigee, because we are able to scale or bring new partners easily, and to help us to manage this kind of infrastructure and the partners. We are able to do it also with Kubernetes as well, because if something is missing, we can just roll up new instance and we are ready to go. Mm-hmm.
So with all of the data and that it's been captured then, is that something that you were able to use to kind of influence and to help you set the direction and to grow and what you do. How are you using all of the data and that's being collected?
Well, on the one hand, we are using it to plan or to validate our hypothesis on what's to build next, and to have a better vision what our partners need based on, let's say, feedback or the tickets or the emails we are getting, and it's not a low number. And also from the usage, we know where to invest to streamline or to make things faster for a different way how to use, even if it's let's say regular search, or if it's our new offering Nomad search that is basically connecting multiple city in way you never anticipated, but it helps you to find a cheaper way how to travel.
Yeah. So a lot of the data then you were able to derive the in sites, and that is being used for the funding, for the growth, for the next things you were doing.
Yeah, exactly. And also for logging and everything else.
Yeah. So coming back to a point you spoke about, you went live with Tequila in 10 weeks,
Yes.
which I'd imagine was very tiring, probably didn't have a lot of sleep. How did you prioritize what you were going to go live with first?
Hard. Yeah, we need to cut down so many ideas and let's say disappoint some people that some functionality is not in the initial release of Tequila. But our goal was to figure out what's the only necessary path or the single most important for our partners to use Tequila at the time. So for this and for the time we had, we thought, or we validate actually at the end, that what they need and what the partners wanted was just to register, have access to our APIs and do the implementation. That's it. So for this we build API endpoints or proxies with Apigee. We build a playground for the partners and the way how to register and select the type of cooperation. That's it. This was the most important part that we want to build, and we focus only on this and scratch everything out.
So you were able to almost step into the boots of the partner and think, if I were a partner, what would I want to see, and help that to drive what it you did.
That was exactly what we did at the time.
So Kiwi is a cloud native organization. What made you choose Google Cloud?
Well, at KiwiCom we are focusing on to be environmental friendly and to be more or less paperless. And we were using since beginning Google as a main platform for office infrastructure. So the emails, the Google Sheets, Google Documents, everything. And it was natural evolution to move everything under one roof and had it basically under one contract with you.
Yeah. Rafał, a few questions about Kubernetes and microservices. So for those starting out on microservices, what are some of the gotchas that they should watch out for?
Yeah, so the fundamental difference, I would say, when you look at the way how the applications were developed in the past and what are the current trends, is like the difference between the monolith and the microservices architecture. So basically monolith was like maybe easy to create, like the first version of application. It's easy to, let's say, edit, add new changes or features in the very beginning. But once you are growing, it becomes problematic and very complicated. When your team of developer grows, when your amount of end user grows, you need to be efficient, you need to deliver and apply changes and add new functionalities very quickly. So with the monolith, with the single, let's say, piece of code, it's very heavy to do that, especially when you have a growing team of developers. With microservices, it's much easier because you can divide the whole applications just into smaller chunks, smaller functionalities. It allows you basically to use, modern tools to develop applications in CI/CD model. Kubernetes is basically the container orchestration tool, which allows you to do that very seamlessly, which allows you to, give you the resources at the moment when those resources are needed. You need to remember, however, about things like, states, how to persist the states for the application. So there are a couple of methods to do that. With monolith application, it was a bit easier, I would say, because there was a database layer, there was some logic behind and the front end. With microservices, you need to think about preserving states because containers are usually stateless. So you can preserve states in some databases or file system like persistent volume claim, which is, let's say, functionality of Kubernetes. There are many of aspects to think about when moving to microservices and basically to cloud, but those are the major points I would, let's say, focus on.
Yeah, yeah. So many organizations have now standardized on Kubernetes. Why should Anthos be important to them?
Well, Anthos is GCP or Google new approach to multi-cloud, basically, because for many reasons, different customers, different organizations, they decide to choose different cloud providers. Sometimes they might also decide to stay on their on-premise data center because of local law regulations, because of some PII data which cannot be migrated to the cloud, or because there are some workloads which cannot be moved to the cloud because of that reason. So Anthos allows those customers basically to create a Kubernetes cluster, to deploy it on any node you prefer, on any cloud provider you prefer, and Google will take care about security, about scaling, about node auto-healing. That's really great stuff to start with when you are thinking about multi-cloud approach.
Yeah, yeah. Gurai, with your APIs, has it been hard to design them to satisfy a diverse partner base, and how have you gone about that?
Well, it wasn't hard for us because currently we have partners that are using our APIs that was built for us, and they are using it. And on top of it, we used Apigee to shield our infrastructure and to help our partners to integrate easily. Because before that, the partners need to be whitelisted on our servers and everything. And at the end, they are using the same APIs that are we using for our own Kiwi.com installations and deployments. So basically, it was pretty much the same thing that we are using. Only thing that that's different is that Apigee helps us to shield some our internal functionality that we basically cut off for our partners to use.
So if you were to identify a few of the core benefits of having a central API platform, what would those benefits be?
The first one is, I think, the speed.
Yeah.
Because we were able to build it and maintain it as well really easily and without the need of the whole cycle of finding the bug, fixing it, test it, deploy it, and have it ready for our partners. Right now, we can just easily go to Apigee, check where is the problem, and fix it right away, and not to have to, let's say, not wait, but to be needed to have the whole cycle of testing and deployment and staging and everything. That's one of the biggest advantage of Apigee, and also the security layer that brings us to allow us to have one single point of contact to our APIs internally, and have Apigee to handle all authorization and authentication for us.
Yeah, Yeah, and I also think as well you spoke about all of the data and being able to review all of the data and how that also helped you. So last few questions and from myself. There will be some of the partners that you work with who are very strategic, and I know working with other customers there's sometimes a bit of the pressure to build a personalised portal experience for different partners. How do you approach that challenge?
We have this kind of partners, definitely, and we were able to build custom solutions for them to have special, let's say, applications in Tequila just enabled just for them, and they have access to that with our platform, and Apigee helps us to maintain the authorization of these applications, because when we build something on Tequila, it's possible to have access for any partners to it. But with the help of Apogee, we are able to authorize only few or single partners to use these applications.
Yeah. So my last question, and to finish with, if you could go back in time and advise yourself before Tequila started, what would you say?
Yeah, no. Yeah, basically the first 10 weeks was challenging, put it mildly, and there was a lot of 20 hours work days in there and everything, but at the end we were able to finish it. So my advice to myself will be not to agree to everything that we agreed at the time, that we will be able to do it, and then spend the next 1 or 2 weeks to explain to our stakeholders why we're not to do it actually, and why we are not to able to deliver everything they ask, and focus only on single path for our partners.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So I think now just a couple of the key things there that I think I picked up on. One is actually being able to plan for scale at a very early point and in the process. And if you don't, you will at some point become unstuck. So always having to plan for scale. 10 weeks, I appreciate it was painful. Yeah. But wow, super impressive, and it really sets a benchmark, and it makes other people within the organisation stand up and pay attention, and to the speed that you were able to move at. I absolutely love the fact that you've taken yourself out of the position that you were in, and you've stepped into the boots of another partner, what is important to them, and have a bit of the outside in thinking and using that to drive what it is we are prioritising. All too often we actually don't see that, so to really drive that I think is super important. The partner ecosystem is clearly great and successful and growing. I don't doubt that that was a lot of work and effort to get it to that point. That doesn't happen overnight, but really having people who are dedicated and committed to growing that partner ecosystem obviously starts to bring a lot of the value. And one of the things, and we saw it in the before and the after, but a focus on automation, being passionate about automation. Where can we improve efficiency and through everything that we are doing? And you can see in through the onboarding at times and of the partners that you've completely smashed it out of the park. Some really good stats there. So
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for that. It's really good to see how the partnership between Kiwi.com and Google Cloud is working. But now I would like to shift our discussion and get some more questions from the audience. And as a reminder, to ask questions, please either use the link shown here or press the Ask Question button on your watch page. So here, a question from Fran. What are the high-level results of this program implementation, and how positive for your business? And one more question, Do you get new insights or new use cases and new solutions?
Well, the high result, let's say it was eye-opening in some cases where our partners brings us new questions and new possibilities how to use our APIs, and also to validate the things we built that is actually something successful for them and something they are used on a daily basis.
Great. Thanks for that. One more question from Donatas. How many developers, Q&A and etc. were working in Tequila on their initial release?
Yeah, I think this will be another surprise for everyone in here. It was in total actually 7 people.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really challenging at the beginning, but we have a lot of help from the Apigee team to help us set up the core of the proxies and to help us validate or point us to the right direction. And then for the front end and QAs and backend developers, I think it was in total 7 people.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yes.
All right. Another question from David Turner. Please, can you give us a real metric of success? Speed onboarding partners, for example. Actually, how much better is it than before you embarked on this? Has it delivered any ROI?
It delivered, definitely. We were able to move to the black numbers. I think it was in 4, maybe 5 months of going live from Tequila to cover our costs and start benefiting from it. Because, as I mentioned before, the whole process for the partners was really, it wasn't painful, but it was long for them. They contacted the account managers, he asked the questions, what they need, collect the data, then push this data to our developers to set it up everything correctly, even whitelisted the servers and everything. Then they wait for our partners to implement our APIs only with documentation, without any way how to, let's say, play with it beforehand, and then check. There are some internal checklists to go through if the partners is implemented correctly, and then it was going to live. So time to market for partners or for online travel agencies like this was around 6 months.
All right.
Some of them, some big one or some complex implementation was even longer. But and right now, it's actually basically up to the partners how fast they can deliver. So I saw some partners to do it in 3 to 6 weeks, and one partner in Africa, they built it in 2 months. So it's in 8 weeks. So it's, as you mentioned, almost 10x increase.
Definitely. That's really interesting. One more question from Oscar. Do you, Kiwi, have a developer portal, and is it difficult with Apigee to create one and connect to a sandbox? And how long it takes to create a dev port?
We don't have like the dev port you have on Apigee, but what we basically built was actually developer portal ourselves. So we have companies management, user management, application management on Tequila connected with management APIs to Apigee. So on one hand, we didn't build the development portal per se, but we have something which is very similar to that.
Mm-hmm. And I think just to add a bit, how long does it take to create a developer portal? I mean, within Apogee, there is a developer portal that you are able to use But depending obviously on what people want to do with it and the direction that they're wanting to take it in, then people can use that but also explore their options. So how long does it take to create it? You can create something very basic, very simple, very quickly. But then obviously, and if you start to create, you are able to explore other options.
Great, thank you so much. And our last question from Fran. Do you plan to include other type of APIs beyond search and bookings?
Yes, definitely. We have in our roadmap the new type of APIs for the not only for search and bookings, but to do the post-booking handling also. And we are thinking to give or to offer our partners have access to the data via API, not just the nice graph inside Tequila, but to access them via API to their internal services.
Great, this is great. Well, thanks so much for that, and thanks for everyone who submitted their questions. We hope that you find this interesting and helpful. And we also would love to hear your feedback, so please send your ideas and suggestions through the feedback form on the link you can see on the page. And keep tuned, because we're gonna have our next online meetup on the 3rd of September. So please share your thoughts so we can make the next edition even better. And with that, we're getting to the end of today's session. Thanks so much for joining, and see you next time.